Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Dark Powerrr, where we cover everything that happens on AEW Dark and now MLW Fusion. Thank you for tuning in. As always, remember to hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate all of our engagement with all of our many true heels, all of you who make up the True Heel family, whether you are on Facebook, YouTube, however you engage with us. We appreciate every single thing that you do with us all the time. That's why we do what we do, right? It's in order to reach out and interact with you. But let's get straight to it, guys. We have an episode of AEW Dark and MLW Fusion to talk about. This week on Dark, there are a couple matches that really stood out to me. The first match, in and of itself, Lucha Soros taking on Brandon Cutler. This was a match that has had a little bit of interesting build when it comes to promoting a match on Dark through BTE being the elite. We've had some kind of good-natured arguments back and forth between Luchasaurus and Brandon Cutler as to whether a dragon is real or a dinosaur is real. And in this situation, whether they are real or not, the dinosaur is the one who comes out on top, with Luchasaurus ending Brandon Cutler's winning streak. Hopefully, Mr. Cutler does not go back to his 2020 ways and his 2019 ways of having loss after loss. Another match that stood out to me, actually, was the next two right after this. There's Sammy Guevara defeating El Australiano, and it's not really for the match itself. It's more the promo afterwards. Sammy Guevara continuing to put in solid promo work. Check out the promo if you get the opportunity. And after this, it's Scorpio Sky taking on Nick Camarado. I think this was an interesting choice in hindsight, because we now find out a day later that Nick Camarado is taking on Jon Moxley, and he fares the same way that he does against Scorpio Sky. He's not picking up the win against Scorpio Sky, and it was kind of a little bit of a shock to me, because I thought, well, wouldn't you want to get Nick Camarado a win, maybe? But as it stands, they figured, hey, the size of Nick Camarado would be intimidating enough for Jon Moxley. And he did do a good job in the ring against Moxley of imposing his will, his size, his strength against Moxley until our former world champion turned the corner on him. And that's kind of what happened here in this match with Scorpio Sky as well. Sky just happens to be a little bit more of a athlete than Moxley, and can do some much more interesting things in the ring. Next, the things that stood out to me were tag matches. Not just the matches themselves, but the number that we got. We got a large number of tag matches as we continued through Dark. One of the ones that stood out to me was Butcher Blade taking on Baron Black, Mike Verna. A nice win for Butcher Blade, getting them up higher in the rankings, letting them move up, make their presence felt in the division. After this, the Inner Circle beating Danny Limelight and John Cruz. It's more about the fact that it was a minute and 30 seconds, if anything, imposing their will and kind of giving us a test or a bar, so to speak, for what our match the next night will be between Inner Circle, and Inner Circle. After this, there is Private Party taking on Aaron Solo, Lee Johnson. I thought this was a really good match. Was one of the standout matches because of the story being told of Private Party continuing to, I don't know, maybe slowly turn heel. Maybe they are just falling further and further under the sway of Matt Hardy, the Hardy Party. The thing that kind of I don't like as much about the storyline is it's very, very similar to Kenny being seduced by Don Callis. And I want to see how they differentiate the two. There are many differences, yes, but there are a lot of similarities, and I want to see those differences highlighted more than the similarities. After this, one of the matches that stood out to me was our main event, actually, of Lucha Brothers, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix with Pac taking on Chaos Project. And they put Chaos Project down. It is one of the longer matches of AEW Dark, and I think it was one of the better matches as well. This was really good in the sense that two solid teams. Luther and Serpentico don't necessarily get the credit that they should. I always say Luther's got to not scream as much in the ring, but with its non-vocal stuff, he's pretty good. He's not that bad. So with the team that he has built, the chemistry he is developing with Serpentico over these past months, they are starting to become a pretty solid tag team. They're an actual team, as opposed to, say, the people right before, which was the Acclaimed versus Fuego del Sol and Sean Dean. Fuego del Sol and Sean Dean, not really a team, but Chaos Project. I mean, they at least have a name. They at least have a shirt. They at least are signed to AEW. So, interestingly enough, Serpentico pulling double duty because he is John Cruz, and maybe that's the reason why he was in the match with Danny Limelight, to take that 1 minute and 30-second loss so he could, just really quickly change and become Serpentico real quick so he could help out his buddy Luther in Chaos Project. One thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this was I kind of had a feeling that Chaos Project was going to be involved in the birthday celebration for -1, and I felt as though maybe Chaos Project could have gotten a win here tonight as opposed to a loss. Not that they're not against the Lucha Brothers, of course, but a win against some other team that we have in AEW on Dark. But we have to move on, guys. We have to move on to MLW Fusion. Now, I'm starting to learn more about Fusion, starting to get a lay of the land, and this was a really good episode, bouncing back from what I thought was kind of a weird middle-of-the-road kind of episode. So this week, if last week the focus was on Selena De La Renta and her promotion, her faction, her stable, this week the focus is heavily on Contra Unit. Contra Unit is one of the, I would say, dominant factions in all of professional wrestling, but they are the dominant faction of MLW Fusion, and it shows. They have 3 matches tonight. There are also only 3 matches on the card, and interestingly enough, it is 1, 2, and 3. It is a clean sweep for Contra Unit. We have Davari taking on Zenshi in a pretty good match. Simon Gotch and Jordan Oliver. This is the one I liked probably, arguably even more than our main event, but this one was good because of just Gotch is, I don't know, he's a guy who, when he left WWE, he's one of the many people who, when they left WWE, found themselves or found the right way or found the right place they needed to be. I don't know what exactly it was that was missing or being overlooked, maybe we'll say, in WWE, but he found it here, and that's for sure. This was a really good match against Jordan Oliver of Injustice, which, that'll be rearing its head later in the evening. But our main event was Jacob Fatu taking on ACH in a defense of the MLW World Heavyweight title. Now, guys, if you don't know this about me already, I am a sucker for belt designs. I love championship belt designs and everything that goes into them, how they are developed, how they are made. The MLW World Championship, it's a really nice belt because it doesn't follow that traditional norm, right? It's not really a circle. It's not really a sphere, oval kind of shape. It's very square. It comes across as jarring, and that's kind of interesting because it kind of speaks to how MLW Fusion is a bit jarring. It's presented a certain way. Things are done a certain way, and I like that. I like that differentiation that MLW Fusion brings to the table and Major League Wrestling does. So it kind of symbolizes that for me, and I think it does for a lot of the people who watch. All of their titles have some kind of peculiarity to them that kind of makes them stand out. Well, the tag titles maybe not so much, but the other singles titles definitely do. This is a really good match, though, but before I get into it, let me talk about some of the other things that happened throughout the course of the episode. We see Richard Holiday going back and forth with Savio Vega again over the Caribbean Championship. He accepts the challenge of a strap match. His lawyer / father did not want him to sign it, but he signs it anyway, and we're going to be getting that match next week, Savio Vega versus Holiday for that Caribbean Championship. I'm kind of looking forward to that, especially because of the history of the strap that's involved. If you were listening to that promo, Vega says that it's going to be the same strap that he used against Austin in a WWE match back in the day. But building on the storyline that is happening with Selena's faction, we now find out that Azteca Worldwide is the new owner of her faction. They are the people who are in charge, and I was doing some reading of the fact that they are building towards a kind of MLW versus Lucha Underground storyline, even though Lucha Underground is no longer a thing. And Azteca Worldwide, if you remember, is the company that I think was the holding company that owned Lucha Underground. And So having them be involved as the new owners of her faction, that's where we're leading towards. That's why we had Mil Muertes last week making his MLW debut. Pieces are starting to fall together as we learn more about this storyline. And of course, we have classic back and forth between Selena and Alicia Atout. These are two that work very well together on screen. I've seen some of their stuff back before about them going back and forth, and this is just a continuation of that, where Alicia is trying to get information from Selena about everything that's going on, and Selena completely sandbags any question that is leading to, trying to get information. So, guys, we're just going to have to pay attention and see how everything goes. And then finally, there is promos from Injustice about everything that's going on with Contra Unit, and also there was some questioning of Tom Lawler, Filthy Tom Lawler, and Filthy Island, and what that's going to be about, and his kind of biased refereeing last week, which he completely does not assume any fault or blame for. But there is no biased refereeing in our main event, which is, again, like I said, that Fatu versus ACH. So this was a really good match. I like this one. The only reason why I kind of like the Gotch one more was just the physicality of it. But this one also has great storytelling of ACH coming into the match wounded, giving Fatu a target. Fatu knows his game plan, going after his game plan. Can ACH find a way to dig deep, pull out of himself that win to win the World Championship? The answer is no, but they do a really great job of telling the story of how ACH tries hard, but Fatu is just that good. This is probably the match that I think all of you really got to check if you're going to check out this episode. The Gotch match is a personal favorite, as opposed to I'll say the objectively best one. But this Fatu match was really, really good, guys. Get a chance to check it out if you have not already. But that was my match of the night. That is definitely the match of the night for both shows, since I think we'll do kind of a back and forth. You never know. There might be a situation where AEW Dark has that. We do see AEW talent versus AEW talent from time to time. But guys, this has been a really great episode of MLW Fusion. I'm interested in seeing where they go next. I want to see that Caribbean strap match next week against Savio Vega. But the way the episode ends is pretty interesting. So earlier in the episode, Injustice has a promo talking about how they're going to take the war to Contra Unit. We see Jordan Oliver lose by referee's decision. Now, Contra Unit, when they come out with two guys with flags. Now, these guys, we don't see them after the entrance themselves, but at the end of the episode, when Fatu is back up at the top of the ramp celebrating, Davari has now come out. Davari is up there with him. I'm sorry. Davari was his manager, valet for the match itself. The guys with the flag attack, and we find out that it is both members of Injustice. And I thought this was really well done, because this is going to continue to build that idea of Injustice versus Contra Unit. Where is this going to go? What is this building towards? And we see that maybe there are some cracks in Contra Unit. How are these two guys able to get the Contra Unit uniforms, get the flags? How did this happen? That's something that Fatu is going to have to investigate. I'm sure some heads are going to roll. Maybe more than just figuratively. Maybe literally. Because Fatu seems as though he is not somebody who is willing to accept anything less than the best from every single member of Contra Unit. And that just makes me interested in seeing how all this is going to shake out. So guys, next week we have that strap match when we're going to see how this builds. But I had a great time watching this episode of Fusion. I hope you guys had a great time checking it out as well. Until next time, guys, I must bid you farewell. I must bid you goodbye, good night, all those bang fun things. But until next time, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will catch you later.